I'm starting to show a little different today because if you know, big news broke in the NBA, and we're gonna jump into it right now. Earlier today, the Los Angeles Clippers announced that Jerry Rice, the Hall of Famer, great player, executive, has passed away at the age of 86 this morning. So I had to do some changes and stuff because to make sure that we honor the man that is the logo of the National Basketball Association. For those of you who don't know anything about Jerry Rice, he played at the University of West Virginia, or West Virginia University, from 1957 to 1960. He was the most outstanding player in the 1959 Final Four, even though his team lost in the national championship game. A two-time consensus first team All-American, two-time Southern Conference Player of the Year with his number 44 retired at West Virginia University as a player. So many accolades to get into, but I picked the main ones here that I think people would want to know about Jerry West. He was drafted second overall to the Minneapolis Lakers. Played all 14 years with the Lakers franchise. Won a championship in 1972, but in 1969 he was named Finals MVP, even though the Lakers didn't win the NBA Finals that year. He is the only player in the NBA to win Finals MVP on a losing team. All 14 seasons he played in the NBA, he was an All Star. He was All Star MVP in 1972. He was selected 10 times as a first team All NBA. He was chosen second team twice. Speaking of All NBA team, he was selected 4 times as first team All Defensive Team. He was part of the second defensive team in 1969, and the Lakers, just like West Virginia, retired the number 44 jersey in his honor. But he was not done uh, being around basketball. He became an executive. As an executive, he has been charged of winning 8 championships as an NBA executive with the Los Angeles Lakers and the Golden State Warriors. He was a two-time Executive of the Year in the NBA in 1995 and 2004. I think both of which was with the Los Angeles Lakers. And then just 5 years ago in 2019, he was honored with the Presidential Medal of Freedom back in 2019. So Jerry West, as a player, phenomenal. As an executive, just as equally, if not better, phenomenal. And all the stories that I heard from all the media pundits and ex players when it comes to Jerry West, nothing but admiration.
Jerome Allen West. I when I first knew about him, I heard that he was this exec, and I was only 12 at the time when I first heard of Jerry West. And I didn't know about him being the logo, and I didn't know about him being a player. I just knew that he was the exec of the Lakers that was forming this wonderful that formed this wonderful team. And I learned this roughly right around like early June of 1985. So I was about 12 at the time. And so I'm seeing the Lakers. They're about to win their first NBA championship with Jerry West as a GM. And already he's won two as a scout, but I didn't know about again, I didn't know about his playing career. And I didn't know about the fact he was a scout either. So I was hearing this, I was hearing people just gush over this guy. And I'm like, Jerry West. Okay. I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to study him a little more. But I didn't when I was 12. But oh boy, when I got to be about 16 and I learned about and then I understood he was the logo. And I was like, you mean to tell me the guy that's on the NBA logo that he played? Wow. And then I dug into West, who by then won two more rings as a GM. And then yes, I understood that he he came up short many different times to the Celtics in the 60s, and unfortunately he didn't win a ring in the 60s. But he finally got on the board after losing again in 70 to the Knicks, not to the Celtics. But he finally won in 72, and and it was then until that time the best single season team of all time, which of course it had Will Chamberlain on there, but it was no question that Jerry West was the best player on the team. Then I studied him. I was like, okay, this guy really knew how to be clutch. He had a range because he could shoot from anywhere. He would give you Carmelo Anthony type of game without the physicality. He wasn't as physical as Carmelo Anthony was, but he could do all the things that Carmelo Anthony could. He can shoot from deep. He can shoot from mid range. He can shoot from the elbow. He can shoot from top of the key. He could post you up, and he had handles. I mean, the dude could do it all. So and he could play three positions. I mean, he played small forward if the opposing team was small enough. He could play point guard, but more than likely he played shooting guard. So when I understood, and I then delve into his numbers later, like in my adulthood, and I saw that he averaged 27, 6, and 7. And then I looked at Allen Iverson's numbers and I saw 27 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists. And when people try to down Jerry West for not being a player, I look at them as if they have a third eye on their head and no brain and no brain inside of this melon, because you cannot say that. And he actually has a championship as a player, and he put up the same stat line as Allen Iverson, and people think the answer is one of the greatest players to ever play the game. And you can say, well, he played against garbage men and milkmen and plumbers. No, no. The dude had game, and game travels. I don't care. I don't care if it's 1969. I don't care if it's 2019. If you have game, you can boogie on opponents. I don't care who you are. But his legacy is more going to be shaped on the fact that he was, in my opinion and in my estimation, and there isn't another that could challenge him, the greatest basketball executive in the history of the NBA. The NBA has been in existence now, what, uh, 74 years now. Um, I can't think of one. I can't think of one greater. You have a guy who has gone on to win eight, and I do mean eight, eight championships as a GM or a high level executive. He won two as a scout. So in personnel, he won 10 rings. And if you think that it's all in Showtime, no. He won only three with Showtime as a GM. He won three more in the Lake Show era, which of course that's about 10 to 15 years later. And he won two more as being a high level executive for the Warriors. Yeah, the first two rings. Yeah, you have the logo to thank in good large part for them getting those two rings. Oh yeah. Oh, yeah, because he got on the Warriors in 2011, and he basically got in the ear of the ownership group, because that was his only bosses. He only answered to them and nobody else in the Warriors. And he said, "Okay, you got this guy number 30. Here's how to properly build around him." And so before he got on board, they drafted Klay Thompson, and of course, when he got on board, they drafted Draymond Green, and then they found other pieces around them, and then they acquired Drew Iguodala off free agency, and then they built the other pieces, and voila, the team that you see now almost is a team that Jerry West had a hand building. So here I am. I'm talking about a guy who built a team in the 80s, built a team in 2000s, and built a team in the 2000 teens. Maybe not as hands-on as he did in early 2000s and in the 80s with the Lakers, but he still built the team. Oh no, by the way, a stop in between with the Memphis Grizzlies, who you almost thought we weren't going to see them in Memphis, and he turned that program, or I should say, he turned that organization into a winning one, and And he probably would have lasted longer if he didn't feel as though, okay, I think I've had my time as GM. I need to just step aside and let the younger guys take over and retire at 69. But you cannot, out the side of your mouth, say that this guy is not a huge contributor to the NBA or to basketball in general. There are very few minds that are brighter in basketball than him. Very few. And I'll say it again. There is no person on the face of this earth who has been an executive in an NBA program, NBA executive on any organization, and you can name them. Not a one is better than Jerome Allen West. So, as you take your seat in heaven today, sir, I want to thank you for giving us what basketball is supposed to be: skill and matching up talent with coaching and with executives. I'll wrap with this story. If you want to know how impactful, how insightful, and how forward thinking Jerry West was, the story of Shaquille O'Neal, that did it for me. So this is around the summer of '96. I know that Playmaker is going to feel sick from what I'm about to say, but unfortunately, this is history. This is fact. So after they got swept by the Bulls on en route to their 72-10 season and championship, uh, Shaquille felt the need that he needed to go elsewhere because he wanted to have a career in Hollywood along with having a basketball career. And at 24, he didn't think that the Magic really wanted to do anything basketball wise with him that really would have fortified him being there. So he looked, he wanted to be out in LA, and he caught the ear of Jerry West. So they negotiated, and they were about in the final throes of the negotiation process. And so Shaquille picks up the story from here. He says, so I'm about to sign this 8-year, $120 million contract for the Lakers. And my phone rings. And I see it's Jerry West. And so I picked up the phone and I said, hello? And on the other end, he says, hey, Shaquille. Hey, big man, how you doing? This is Jerry. Side note, the dude is so humble, he didn't start with Mr. West. He said Jerry. But Shaquille, being the responsible and and respectful young guy that he was then, he respected his elders. So he says, Mr. West. He says, hey, Mr. West, how you doing? He says, I'm doing all right, man. So how about my contract? Is everything good? All I's dotted, all T's crossed, and anything else? Am I gonna get that money that you promised? Because I'm looking for 120. He said, yeah. That's fine. That's good. But I didn't call you for that, man. I called you for this. I'm watching this tape of this Laura Marion guy. Yeah, it's this kid, 17 years old. He's from the Philadelphia area. Man, this guy has game. Oh my gosh, man. Look, write this name down. Kobe Bean Bryant. Write that name down because I guarantee you'll be thanking me later because I'm going to trade for him on draft day, and he's probably going to be your running partner in getting these chips. Shaquille was like, okay, that's fine. Yeah, get the kid. I don't care. All I want is to get this money's done. Then is the deal done? Well, yeah, the deal's done. The deal's done, big man. But I'm telling you, Kobe, that's your guy. And Shaq concluded the story by saying, here it was. He didn't even set foot on an NBA court, and Jerry West knew what a Hall of Fame talent Kobe Bryant was. So if you want to know the impact of one Jerome Allen West, the guy knew the game better than just about anybody who's ever played it, who's ever coached it, or who's ever presided over it as an executive. We'll miss you. Thank you for making the game better.
Jerry West, the logo, gone at the age of 86.